3, 2. What's up? What's up?
No, you ain't.
What's up?
No, you ain't. Dang.
You said start over?
And we'll just cut that.
I ain't gonna lie. Nah.
We ain't getting sued today.
I know, right?
All right, cool.
Is that trademark?
4, is it trade? Yeah, I know.
Probably is.
No, local podcast gets sued by Martin. My bad, Martin. We love you.
Okay, let it be known. I'm working hard when I ain't on the phone. This ain't a home, this ain't a phone. Grind never stopping, I'm keeping it cold. Unlocking the door with the holy key. You supposed to be this close to me, and hopefully you understand G.O.D.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It is me, Robert McNair, with the rest of the crew on the Unlearning Religion podcast. Say what's up, everybody.
What's up?
And we are back.
We're missing one, though.
Yeah, we're missing one.
Had like he don't want to win. Had like he don't know how to get back home.
Yeah, he needs to come on back, bro. He's gonna start asking questions. What happened? Did y'all kick him off because
he said damn?
damn.
Like, see that what y'all do?
He been sat down like
He on a sabbatical.
he on sabbatical.
We sat him down. We had to set him
He
down.
set himself down. He said he sat down. If y'all want to figure out which episode, you're gonna have to listen to all of them.
Because of one cuss word.
Well, they
What?
first started off saying
Christian.
that
No,
you cuss.
Christian.
The one episode said that you cuss.
That was Jarvis
And
line.
Jarvis said,
Line.
no, she don't cuss. She didn't cuss.
No, but one,
She don't
that
cuss.
was church folk do. One cuss
Yeah, church
word.
folk.
We be.
We throw you away now.
Sit you down and change your whole. But now,
I caught you in the car listening to.
so Pastor Q is not here, but we are going to go ahead and continue. Actually, we're going to flip last week's topic because it was so good about face shaming. And so we're going to flip the topic a little bit because we wanted to make sure we didn't go too far down one path without exploring another path, right? Mm-hmm. And the other path is that why is it that when we attain things, we sometimes have a guilt of success and we don't want to show for it, or we don't want to say God is prospering in our life or that we're prospering or something like that, because at the end of the day, there might be some things that you really did pray for and God really did bring them to you. You know what I'm saying? And so we want to kind of bring some balance to that, so because I know a lot of you might be listening to, well, where should my faith be? And I mean, I'll say this, like, I'm not ashamed of what God has done in our life as far as the things he's provided. A lot of folks don't know, and I'm happy because I get the opportunity to be able to share with folks. Like, I have a well above 6-figure job, and I'm happy because I believe that God has placed within me the skill set to be able to do that, right? And sometimes when you get around certain people and their only mindset is 6 figures or close to, you tend to not say anything because you feel like you might be stepping on their toes or something. And sometimes when I have these conversations with people, I want them to believe God for more because I've seen God do more, Mm-hmm. But you kind of want to tiptoe and not really say anything to people because you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you don't want to feel like you're just big, bad, and bougie and that you better than folk. You know what I'm saying? So I want to throw this topic out here so that was giving you a little context. But have you experienced this where you felt like you've had to lower your standards or lower who you are because of how, blessed you really are?
I think it's two-sided when it comes to feeling guilty for prospering. I think, like you said, you don't want to necessarily express where you are because you kind of fear that people are going to perceive you are coming from a place of pride, and so a lot of times I think there's a difference between humility and then you have false humility, kind of where, yes, you're humble, you know what I mean? Because it's like, man, without God, there's no way I could be where I am today. And you do give glory to God and you don't out outshine your prosperity, if that not even outshine your prosperity, but you don't allow your prosperity to outshine God. You know, you don't become bigger than, you know, the process that God has kind of brought you through. And, you know, but I think false humility is kind of like that fear of being perceived as prideful and boastful, you know what I mean, and things like that. And so, you know, what I realized is funny when you said that, it was like, that's the first time I've ever heard you say how much you make. But I remember when you weren't making anything, and I heard you say that often. You know what I mean? If I'm to be real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being honest. It's like, I'm only making so and but we do that. We talk more about our problems than we do our prosperity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And our minds are conditioned that way to only discuss what we going through and, you know, how we feel and, you know, the complaints and just the expectation for God to do more and us to finally make it to, you know, a place where we're encountering breakthrough and deliverance. But what happens when you are delivered? What happens when you encounter that breakthrough? What happens when you kind of finally reach that place where you see the physical or the tangible, you know, things of God's promises? It's no longer just faith and a belief, but you're actually encountering them. Why don't we ever discuss that? You know what I mean? And I think it's because we fear pride. You know, but I mean, why don't we fear shame when we talk about what we're going through? Yeah. You know, because we're conditioned that way. I think to always talk about what's going wrong, but to never really discuss what's going right. Because I believe when you discuss what's going right, it helps kind of connect the dots for so many people to realize, man, if you were here and now you're in this space, then I can trust that God can do something miraculous with my life too. On the other end, I don't think it's always pride, but I think sometimes it's kind of that fear of if where I am, if there's longevity there. You kind of get what I'm saying? It's almost like I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to curse the blessing. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times we brace for impact. If we're so conditioned to things going wrong, then we brace for impact. That, okay, I'm not going to necessarily enjoy this ride or put myself up there like that because at any moment the devil might come right in and snatch everything up. You know how we do. We brace for impact. So it's like, okay, I'm going to be real humble about where I am because I don't know when this is going to end. And so it's almost like when you enter that place of prosperity, the faith almost is like it stops. It's like we don't believe God to keep us there or elevate us from there, but we fear that this is only momentarily. Something somewhere is going to happen to cause me to retreat or go backwards. You know, and I think that fear plays a huge role as well. And we have to unlearn that when God desires for us to prosper, it's not just financially. That's what we think. We think, okay, God is giving me financial breakthrough, but let me not really say anything about it because I don't want to curse it. And y'all ever met them people who got money but always be like, I'm broke? You know what I mean? And they be like, why are you consistently confessing that? Because that's that mindset that is only focused on struggle rather than God actually doing something more in their life and actually prospering them and manifesting miracles. So it's like, let me just kind of stay where I am in this mindset because if I don't set myself up for failure, then when it happens, I'm not surprised, I'm not disappointed, and I'm not discouraged. But it's like, if God desires us to prosper, it's not just financially, it's literally for your entire life. What is it? 3 John and 2, it says, above all things, I desire that your soul should prosper. That's your entire being. That's literally, I want your life to be fulfilled, not just financially. I want you whole, healed, healthy, mentally, physically, in your soul and everything else. And it's like, but if you have this money, but you're still in fear, are you still prospering? You know what I mean? It's like you have to, this goes back to our last segment about faith and faith shaming. Faith is dependency on God. What people don't understand is when the blessing arrives, you still have to have dependency on God. That's why it's not about having faith for things. Because when you get the thing, is that the end of your faith? Absolutely not. You have to have dependency on God, because at one point I remember saying this to somebody, and this actually came to pass when I was telling them this, and they were believing God like I forgot what they were believing God for, but they were a type of person who always would complain. They would find an issue with everything, and they just continue to believe God for all of these things. And I said, you're the type of person that you can believe God for a house, and then when you get the house, you'll find something wrong with the house. Then you'll be like, then you believe in God for somebody to cut the grass. Then you believe in God for somebody to fix this and do that. You will never be able to enjoy the blessing because your mind is so focused on struggle. It's almost like you'll find an issue with everything. And believe it or not, they're going through a process of trying to obtain something, and they are finding a complaint and a loophole for everything. And they have not even realized that God has already put them in position to be blessed. Yeah. They're in the blessing, but they're so focused on what's not working that they can't even enjoy what God has provided. And so it's like when it comes to feeling like you're in a place of prosperity, it's not just obtaining the thing or the money or the item. It's like, where's your soul? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you still won't necessarily prosper, be fulfilled. You know what I mean? If you're consistently waiting for I guess the perfect life, because we all know that ain't existing. You know what I mean? We're perfect through Christ, but in this world, we're still going to encounter affliction and attacks and issues. But total life prosperity is I'm content and prospering and fulfilled no matter what it is. But I think it's just a matter of, I don't know how to necessarily talk about it because I don't want to lose it. And then I'm not fully accepting of where I am as well. Yeah.
I think it comes with being relatable. Yeah. I think that's that can be an issue as well. So people want to be relatable. I don't want to, like you said, I want to seem like I'm coming off prideful when I talk about X, Y, and Z or whatever I got going on, or God opened the door for you to do whatever. So you'll say stuff like, "Oh man, boy, hey man, that clean, man. What you got? Where you get them from? I don't think else X, Y, and Z." And you're like, "Oh, this old thing, man, I got this on sale." So we downplay it, you know what I'm saying? Because I can be relatable to you because you understand what a sale is. Yeah. But if I told you I paid full price, you got a problem with it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just like, and we'll say, "Oh, this old thing, man, I had this thing for a little while." We do that all the time. You know, and we keep doing it because I want to be relatable to you. So I'm not comfortable being prosperous. You know what I'm saying? I'm not comfortable being in this way because now I got to downplay everything I do because I may make you feel a certain type of way. Yeah. If that's the case, then two sides of that is that person need to check themselves too. You know what I'm saying? Because that envy and jealous spirit is on them, then that becomes a whole lot of problems too. But I think as you prosper, it's certain stuff. I ain't got to be boastful about everything. Oh, every time there's a testimony line, I got to get up here and lie, basically. You know what I'm saying? In most cases, and say something. But it's like, no, be happy, enjoy what God has done for you, good and small. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can come off prideful. I remember I was on, family member of mine had it was the testimony, and it was funny. It was just like, man, I just been praying to God, believing God for what was the situation? It was something with food stamps or something coming through. And they finally came through. And I was like, what? Like, that's where your mindset at? You know what I'm saying? But I had to that might be where your faith is. Yeah. So there's no need for me to sit here and try to shame you on that. Yeah. At the same time, you can come over my house and we can have a conversation. I'm like, man, God has did X, Y, and Z. Or vice versa, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't need you to feel shame, neither. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because know that if God can get you in a six figure, why can't he do it for me? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I kind of look at it that way.
Well, I ain't making six figures yet.
I'm at 7, so I'm
trying to get like you.
I ain't been ashamed. I'm at 7.
But
I'm trying to get there.
But as far as like gifts, I feel shame sometimes with that. Like I'm not comfortable in that space.
Gifts,
so just things that God has naturally gifted you to be able to do. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times I downplay it, or you know how my mind works. I can see how stuff can move a little bit smoother. Like I anticipate needs and stuff like that. I will sit back and not do because I don't, or I've been made to feel that I'm taking over. Or, you know what I'm saying? And because that's not my intention, I will just kind of like sit back, you know, like, you know, well, you know, because I've been in those situations where it's like, well, who told her to do blah, 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 or she thinks she, you know, so it's like, well, when I'm asked, I will render my services. If not, then I'll sit back. But I know, like, I struggle sometimes just being who I am because it's not always received.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, it
Okay.
does.
No,
Because-
it does.
What's that?
I was just about to say, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm thinking his initials is DMW. It's God. Anyway, he got this song called "I'm Dope."
Mm-hmm.
Y'all ever heard it before? I cannot think of the doggone dude's name. But anyway, he sang with Toby.
Okay.
Toby,
And
you know what I'm talking about, the rapper.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Anyway, he got a song called "I'm Dope," and it was just one of those things, kind of like sometimes you gotta be like, bruh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm dope.
I'm dope at what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
You know, I ain't saying I'm the best
Best.
of.
Yeah.
When it comes
I
to
be
that,
struggling.
I'm dope, bro.
I really do struggle with that. Like I like downplay it, like or in situations, you know, Unc always tell me, you know, God give you the tools, you know, whatever gifts you got, he gonna give you to make that money, you know. So situations where I probably should have charged, I didn't because it's like, well, no, you know, I'm gonna do this for God, you know. It's like, well, no, God trying to put some money in your pocket.
And I think sometimes, to your point, you devalue yourself.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I know even culturally we devalue ourselves in thinking that we're not good enough. Just like, you know, you'll find people that might do what you do and you might do it for, I don't know, $250. These folk charging $1,250.
Yeah.
And you might even do more and better work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you feel like, oh, what are they gonna say when I say $1,250?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that we have to give ourselves permission to is learn how to value ourselves as well. I'm part of a IT group on Facebook, right? And Black Cloud Geeks, shout out Black Cloud Geeks. But one of the things that join us if you're in
I knew you were going to say something with your ghetto self.
yeah, we strong.
I was excited about that.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my boy Terrell. He holding it
No,
down.
I'm just kidding.
But listen, there are people that come in there, right, and they literally are like, you know, I want to get a 60,000 job or 75, and I'm just sitting here like, no, like the work that you do is equivalent to that of another people. And they're getting paid 2 and 3 and 4 times that.
Yeah.
Understand your value. And if someone can't afford you, they just can't afford you.
Yeah.
But don't dummy yourself down. Don't take this job making $60,000 a year when you know you need to be making 90, 100, or something like that.
Yeah.
We don't value ourselves. That happens when it comes to negotiating for jobs. That comes to negotiation contracts. That comes to a lot of different things. And what we need to know is that, listen, whatever that going rate is, you better charge that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, people, if they don't want to pay you, they just don't want to pay you.
Yeah.
But what I found out is if you hit people with a higher number, they'll be happy to pay that because they know that they're getting some type of quality and things like that. I used to sell cars, right? And we used to always say the people that will come in, pay that sticker price, them people won't have no complaints. Right? The people that want to beat you up and do all this negotiating, and then you want to do a favor. You know what I'm saying? You're giving them the lowest price possible. They're the ones that's complaining.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that's and you're sitting here like, man, I done gave this person the lowest price. I done threw this in, threw that in. And they're the ones that's complaining. But at the end of the day, you know, you need to stand firm by your price, who you are, how you value yourself. You know what I'm saying? And just rock with that. If they can't do it, they can't do it because somebody out there can, and they'll gladly pay that.
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, I feel like it is tied to us being able to learn how to value ourselves, and not from a demeaning way. Just be like, you know what I'm saying? Like you say, man, I'm dope.
Dope.
I'm dope. This is what I've done. I've done this. I've done that. I've done this. I run into people all the time, and I don't want to take all the time, but I want to stay here for a minute because I run into people all the time who don't understand how dope they really are. My wife is dope.
I am.
She's got she has written 3 books. You know what I'm saying? A children's book, and 2 a Bible study journal, and a faith book. You know what I'm saying? And you got people who I know how much time she spends in the Word. I got to clean this up because I don't want to put this out there. You know what I'm saying? I know she spends time in the Word. I know she knows how to read her Word, right? And for that, she's good at what she does, right? I see people who are falsifying things or getting honorary degrees and such who don't know as much as she knows but charge more. You got to know that you dope.
Yeah.
Period. You got to know that you worth something, because these folks out here with these fake degrees,
Getting it out.
in these fake theology schools, and they sitting there and they really getting the bag.
They getting the bag.
And they're wrongly teaching folks.
Yeah.
This is why we got this podcast, because you got a lot of folks out here that are wrongly teaching folks to have a relationship with God, and they going out there and they spending their little $2,500 to get this honorary degree, and they don't know nothing, and they're leading all kinds of people outside. When I got somebody right next to me right now. You want to know how to read the Word? Get that doggone journal. And I'm not plugging her. I'm just saying from the standpoint she's dope, and she's written this for people to be able, but she needs to, and I'm not saying she don't. She recognizes her value now. But it's about her being able to recognize her value and be able to say, this is what it is. This is what I wrote. And you know what I'm saying? Do y'all understand what I'm saying?
I think we don't have the community sometimes around us. We don't have enough people like really encouraging one another. Like, dang, yeah, because you could tell yourself you dope all the time. You know, you got some people that tell themselves they're dope, and you like, nigga, what? Like, trash. But we don't have those authentic relationships. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I've noticed, like, in my walk, God would give me something to do, and I would do it, and you feel so alone in doing it, and you know you're doing it right, but it's like, oh, ain't nobody gonna tell me.
Because guess what, Tony? That's not your audience.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not the audience. What we tend to do is we tend to come out with a book. We tend to come out with something and want everybody in our inner circle to buy. No.
Yeah.
That's not for them.
Yeah.
Once we get to the realization that we have to reach outside of our circle,
It's gonna take work.
that's when it is. We can't just sit here and think that, oh, nobody did this for me, nobody supported me. Now I get it. You do want people to buy into you, but I don't never get mad when people I know don't buy certain things of mine and stuff like that. That means it just wasn't for them.
But you have to get that inner dialogue out your head. I know for me, I have to get that inner dialogue out my head. Like,
right.
girl, you ain't all that. You're like, yeah, I am. You know, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that, turning that off and just listening to God directing your every step with something, and just being obedient and going forth with a particular thing, regardless of your situation around you. You know,
Right.
I had I don't know, we was friends, but
What, your friend?
okay, I'm just saying, like, had a coworker I worked with at this point, and she was young, but she was dope. She had some dope qualities about her. Had some shady stuff about her too, but she was dope and certain stuff. What I'm saying all to say is she grew up completely different than majority of everybody she worked with. You know what I'm saying? So I think, I don't know if you remember this, we was joking about like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so we all laughing about like the struggle conversations, you know what I'm saying? And person couldn't relate. And it was like, so kind of leaned to me like, I never had that before. I was like, what? You know, so I ain't gonna put on blast. So we tried to joke. I said, look, you gotta embrace that wasn't your thing.
Well, she ain't never had a peanut butter jelly sandwich?
It wasn't, it was more gourmet-ish.
What, a Smuckers?
You know what I'm saying?
A Pop-Tart?
But in her position, it was like, you didn't grow up like this. Like, you grew up.
That's okay.
privileged.
And that's okay.
Yeah, and that's okay.
That's the goal.
Be
okay.
okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's everybody's not. You're gonna get some looks. You're gonna get X, Y, Z.
It's
Embrace
okay.
it.
It's your
Yeah.
life.
Embrace it, because I'm telling you, 99% of everybody else wish they would have been you.
Had this
You nothing
Smuckers.
but 20-something years old. I'm like,
Right.
so we and then got to a point. I think it was this nice car she was finna get. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, "You think it's too much?" Nigga, no.
Right.
No, I'm
get it out,
telling you,
right?
if I could get it, I would do it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If the door open, I said, look, you got to embrace who you are. Just be you.
Man.
Be comfortable being you.
And it
'Cause
be so uncomfortable to like dim your light. And it's like, I guess 35 just brought something over me.
man, wait till you
I
get
don't
there.
want to keep dimming my light for people to be okay with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to do it. Either you rocking or
you're not.
you roll. You know? Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's I had caught myself like dimming my light so I don't step on no toes. You know what I'm saying? And not that, you know, I'm just so, you know, that type of attitude, but just me organically being me. If that's stepping on your toes and I know in my heart that's not my intention, then maybe I need to find some new people to be around.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I think the difference between those who are prospering and okay with prospering is they just don't care. You know what I mean? And that's real when it comes to people and people's opinions and so forth like that. Like, you could really, literally do, like you said, there are people who will get honorary degrees, teach whatever. Shoot, there are people who won't get the honorary degree and convince people that the sky is purple and continue to preach the purple sky, build an Instagram blog called The Purple Sky, have 222,000 followers about the purple sky. And meanwhile, you got all these people questioning, but 222,000 believe in what they're saying.
Yeah.
Meaning they don't care. You're going to have your opinion. You're going to say whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, I believe in what I'm doing. And that's it. That's why you have so many people with prosperous cults and things like that. It's like, how did you get sucked into believing that? You know what I mean? You really be questioning like, that was okay?
Yeah.
But it was because the leader had 100% confidence in what they were saying.
Yeah.
And when you have confidence, you can persuade so many people. So imagine the confidence that will come with an authentic gift from Christ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how many people would you persuade into coming into a relationship with Jesus just by allowing his life to shine through yours? But we consider what people got to say and the responses of people and everybody around us too much.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even about just knowing you're dope. It's about just not caring about what other people got to think or say. Like,
But that's gonna take time.
it is.
That takes
it really
time.
does.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time. It depends on where you at.
Yeah.
Like first level of prosperity. Not prosperity, but first generational wealth. If nobody has ever really broke, just using the 6-figure mark. Nobody ever broke the 6-figure mark in your family. It's different when you operate there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get into the 7 figures. It's different when you the first that's there.
Yeah.
So now you got to see. I got to figure out. That's why the ball players and stuff. Some of them go broke because I'm still trying to figure out how
Basics.
do I balance this? Because I don't want to see my cousin struggling. I don't want to see X, Y, Z. I don't want to do X, Y, Z. But I have to. I'm in this position where I can honestly really buy the Bentley or whatever the case may be, and it's nothing to me, but I feel bad when I gotta pull back up over here and be like, we'll just take the X1, the other car. You know what I'm saying? And you start going through that, you know. And I remember this testimony that again, I'll stay away from names, but a pastor had told about when the church has blessed him with a specific car, very nice vehicle, and got into the shame part and was like, man, just sell it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't want them thinking of me like that. You know what I'm saying? And then Lord kind of checked him like,
Right.
bro, I blessed you with that. Like,
Yeah.
why are you worried about what they're doing? I'm the one who blessed you with that. You know what I'm saying? And you know, had him to go get the car. But I thought that was big to be able to kind of be in that position of to say like, you on one side, but again, he was first generation wealth. So I not only am I getting it from the world, I gotta untangle all of this with everybody I grew up with, people I know, because everybody around me ain't like this. Not all y'all, you know what I'm saying? So now I got a pastor, people that come from that same. How do I do that and be okay, you know, at that level?
So is there a responsibility though, like so that it doesn't look a certain way?
I don't think so.
What you mean when you say responsibility?
Okay, so when we're talking about success or prosperity and like a financial means, if we are getting all of these material things, understanding that people don't know the whole story, they can only go off of what they see. Is there a responsibility to not be flashy?
Yeah,
or put everything on display?
I'm gonna say yeah and no, because you don't. I wouldn't do that if you knew I'm first round draft pick for the Atlanta Hawks. You know my salary. You know I ain't making $8 an hour. You get what I'm saying? Right. You know I'm a couple of million strong.
Right.
Yeah. What? So when you do see me pull up, what's my responsibility that I gotta dim the light? You know exactly. It ain't like it cost me. I went over my budget. The car cost $200,000. I made $8 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Yeah. What? That doesn't. Now I think to a degree.
Because I'm asking this question because you know it's an Instagram page that preacher shoes or preacher sneakers or something like that, and it has all of these preachers and their shoes and how much they cost, right? Should I always be Gucci down when you see me if in this lane?
Okay. Okay. So this is how I feel. Because we do this to pastors. Because we feel like pastors, because they are a shepherd over a flock that may feel as if they're struggling, but you're shining, it's not fair. Am I right?
They do it to politicians too.
Okay. So mainly with the sneaker situation, if I could be honest, I feel two ways about this. I get it when you are showcasing that this may be the new car that you got and these are the new shoes, and then 5 seconds later you're in the pulpit saying we need money to fix a roof or fix a door in the church. I can see that where it's kind of like, well, bruh, didn't you just buy a $200,000 car and now you coming to us? I can see that because it's so close. It's like the wound is still open. Like you just did this and now you're asking us, you know, so I can see that. But if I can be honest, just like anybody else, it's hard work. And we don't know. And this is somebody coming from a person who has worked behind the scenes and finances in a mega church. You don't know where that money's coming from. All of it's not coming from tithes and offering. You know what I mean? Like, and I can be honest. I'm just being honest. And that's where we kind of dictate, like, they taking our hard-earned money buying a Gucci shirt. You don't know where their other streams are coming from. Because when we even launched our church, we were taught that a pastor shouldn't solely get its income from the church. You got to find other avenues to receive your income. And so if you can't work a 9 to 5, what's your hustle? What's your gift? What can you do on the side to produce more money so the tithes that will come in will literally benefit the church? I think when we look at pastors prospering, we immediately think, oh, they taking the tithes and the offering. I'm going to be honest. Again, somebody working behind the scenes of finances in a mega church, them tithes and offering can't supply the amount that it costs.
Y'all don't be paying y'all tax
to run a mega. Your tithes and offering ain't doing nothing.
Okay, so also because we talked about the documentary on that mega church, right? And so they talked about how they somewhat abused the volunteers, and somebody who worked behind the scenes pretty much said that if they did not pay the pastor what they paid him, they could have compensated volunteers that were giving all of this time and all of this effort to the ministry. You know what I'm saying? So are we operating just from our level, our perspective, or are there churches out there who really do give their pastors like human? So then when I say that responsibility, is it like, should a pastor have a responsibility of saying like, well, no, this can go somewhere else?
They could, but I think at the end of the day, there are things you have bylaws in place. They have contractual agreements. Like some of these churches, to be 100% honest, they do have boards. Like that particular church you're talking about, they actually have a board. And the board is what makes that decision on what that pastor should get paid, right? And so that ultimately, when I was looking at it, I said, well, the board should have made the determination that the people get this. Because at the end of the day, the pastor has to stay within the bylaws and what the board says. A lot of times we think the pastor is the head and that's it. Majority of these churches out here, they have the deaconship they got another board they got to go through all these different things. And so we like to say the pastor because the pastor is the face, but oftentimes the board can actually redirect funds from different areas in order to take care of those particular needs. We do look at the pastors because they're wearing the Gucci belts and all these different things. They might have a set salary, and that set salary is to cover their lifestyle. Like for me, for instance, or for us, we have a particular lifestyle that we live. You ain't finna just come in and say, well, you need to live off of $50,000. No, I live off of what we get, right? So for this pastor, if this pastor is making $250,000, $350,000, or even $1 million a year, his lifestyle is supporting that now. We can't just say, well,
I mean, I get that. I get that. If you coming from a situation and you want the type of pastor that is completely available to you, I get that. There needs to be some type of contract. Well, if I'm going to quit my good job and be here for y'all every beck and call, y'all need to be able to, I get that. But some of these churches, the founding pastors are now making big bank. So do they have a responsibility, regardless on how big the church gets? If they knew when they started with 25 people that the goal or the mission was we want to conquer everything. Is there a responsibility to kind of like, even if you making that much money, to not be so in your face when you have people who are coming, giving you all their time, all of their effort, and not getting anything?
That's difficult, man. I remember a couple of years ago, maybe been around the 2008, 2009 crash, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Ford dealership, because I think that was one of the companies that had got a bailout, basically. Yeah. And the CEO, I think he was slated to make like $15 million that year, and he got a salary. But I also cut like 5,000 jobs or something like that. It was a crazy number. So the argument was like, well, dang, you couldn't take a little bit of your money and save these people job who need the, what's the name? On the other side of it is, I work just like he worked. The man who's making $20 an hour, I work just like he worked. Just two different lanes that I'm in. His salary equals $40 an hour. My salary equals $15 million. Now it can be looked at kind of like, oh, that's wrong. But that's the going rate to a degree. I mean, I
understand the thin line. Like, you want to authentically be yourself, and whatever God blesses you with, you shouldn't be ashamed of that. Right. I completely get that. But in some situation, like, I don't know, I couldn't see myself pastoring people who are having a hard time putting food on the table, and every time I pull up, I'm pulling up in luxury everything.
I'm gonna give you scriptures.
I don't think like I have to come around looking broke and disgusted, but because I wouldn't want them to be aspiring to that. If that, I don't know, maybe
I think, and that's why I say this is like literally a thin line. You know, there is a gray area to this, but I think you also have to look at it from the perspective of, you know, and I'm just be honest, and that's only because we're coming from being pastors. You know, we never took a salary from our church, but looking back, it's like, wow. You know, like, I'm just being honest. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And because let me just break it down. When it comes to pastoring, especially if you're planting your own church, you didn't just step into a church. There's a lot of hard work that come with that. You know what I mean? Because you're not just preaching to people on Sunday. You are counseling. You are you are negotiating. You are everything that church needs. The volunteers help, but everything weighs on your shoulders. If a printer break down, trust me and believe, a volunteer gonna come to you and say, we need a new printer. You know what I mean? If so and so is having problems in their marriage and they so happen to be one of your volunteers, you got to be the one to go counsel. You're the one, marriage counseling, bereavement, and especially if you're planting a church. And then as that church grows, your hands are even further stretched, because now you have to kind of be like the CEO of Ford. You got to be the one to spearhead it all. You may have a team, but the decision lies on whose shoulders? Yours. You know what I mean? And so it may say, okay, what about the 15 million? I'm not getting into numbers per se, but what about the 15 million versus the person that's working $20 an hour? Person coming in for $20 an hour, I hate to say this, can be consistently replaced. You know what I mean? And I hate to say, okay, their job was to stand there on the line. They worked hard, but it was to do this. But the CEO here, he's brought in 20 million. You got to get what I mean? He's the one who has brought in this amount in order for Ford to be able to function. Y'all kind of get what I'm saying? And so sometimes, and I hate to say this when it comes to the church, a lot of times we look at it like old school. You know, the pastor should, be out here, with nothing and preaching the gospel. But the thing about it is, and I hate to say this, but in 2022, church looks different. You know what I mean? And there are a multitude of people coming to church now more than they did back in the day. You know what I mean? And these people are giving big seeds. You know what I mean? Because some of these people in the churches, you probably got 30% of the church making six figures, and so their tithes or not even just tithes, let me not get on that, but their offering, you know what I mean? Their offering, could be a big offering. But what I'm saying is above that, then you got the pastors who are writing books, and then you have the pastors who are launching businesses and real estate, right? Investments and so forth. And so you crazy. And so
I bet it's a pastor out there somewhere.
I know, somewhere.
You gotta be in Vegas. Gotta be.
But you have all of this, and what you got to look at is they working, they tail off. There's barely any sleep when it comes to pastoring. There's barely any off time, and so it's almost like and that's why I say it's a thin line, because it's almost like I get exactly what you're saying, and I was like that, and I'm still like that, but that's who I am. Some people are kind of like, man, why I got to be ashamed of this, and I'm working my tail off. Why I got to be ashamed to wear Gucci sneakers, and I work day in and day out. When can I buy Gucci? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just being honest, thinking from a human mindset, not a pastor, but when can I buy a Gucci belt and I'm working my tail off? Just because I'm a pastor, I can't do it?
Or going on a great vacation.
There's there's a couple things, because I know there's I was listening to a podcast of this pastor. I can't remember his name, but he was on that Instagram, and somebody called him out, and he said, "Let me tell you the story about these sneakers, why everybody got an issue." He was like, "I was over in, we'll just say Dubai or something, on a speaking engagement, and one of the executives from Nike over there was like, man, I got to do something for you because what you said really blessed me." He said, so they sent him these special edition, one-of-a-kind Nikes. He just thought they were shoes. He didn't think, you know what I'm saying, nothing of it. He put them on. He ends up on Preachers and Sneakers, right? And all this stuff. And he's like, okay, because people were like texting him like, you ought to be ashamed of yourself, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I ain't know nothing about the sneakers. I did not know. And he said, the thing about it, though, was when he realized they were such a big deal, he says, to let people know that that's not what his foundation is, the next week he found somebody, some kid in the congregation that wore the same size and gave him the sneakers. And I feel like as a leader, the moment you feel like you're attached to these things, then we have a problem. But if you're willing to give the shoes off of your feet, the clothes off of your back to somebody else, then you're no longer attached. So to your perspective, if there are people that are struggling in these types of things that's going on in your church, and you're making a lot of money, number one, what are the things that are you doing to help them out? Because you can't come in every single week giving them clothes. You can't sell your car and just be like, okay, it's 10 of y'all. I'm giving 10 of y'all $10,000, because guess what? If they don't have the mindset to keep it, they're going to blow it on something, right? So we need to be able to establish some things. But I do feel like if you're getting it and you don't have a problem with giving it away,
or just giving, period,
and just give, just whatever it is, because there's always a backstory. There's pastors that have businesses. There's pastors that you say they write books. There's pastors that have what was I saying earlier? I was saying something else. But anyway, real estate. Yeah, strip clubs. They have these deals, and we look at them and be like, oh, he taken from the church because he got nah, baby. This dude ain't took a salary from the church in 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Why you talking about this? He got things going. So that's the way I kind of feel with that, is that they can redirect if they choose to. I don't think they have to, but I feel like if we see the example of them doing just like what this pastor did, because he's a well-known pastor, from the standpoint of like, I don't care nothing about all this stuff. Like,
it's different. But that's the thing. It's not attached to you. It's like, I don't care about it. But who says you can't enjoy it? You kind of get what I mean? Because it's almost like you have to that's almost like part of not being yourself. You have to intentionally deprive yourself of your desires because people might think a certain way. Is that how you want to live your life? Is that how God called us to live? You know what I mean? But it's like, if I desire nice things, how am I wrong for that if I can afford it? I'm not pickpocketing or taking from anybody. And like I said, it's different if, like you said, your church is completely struggling and you up here like the only prosperous one, including like the building falling down, and you just out here like, hey, let's get together and have a fish fry and save the building. It's like, let's first sell your car. No, I'm just kidding. Like, I'm just joking. But realistically, it's like, I think a lot of times when it comes to pastors, people, like, you kind of deprive yourself of good things because of that fear. That goes back to what we're talking about, the shame and prosperity. And I remember a news reporter was asking a well-known pastor. The news reporter was a lady, and he was getting on his plane, and she was like, how do you feel about pastors making so much money? You getting inside this jet and da-da-da-da, and my daddy preached the gospel for, I don't know how many years. It was like 50-some years, and he never prospered. He was still died in a shack and everything, and he was like, baby, it was like the land that I own got oil on it. Like, he was just like, let me cut you real quick. Like, you over here acting like I'm taking the church money. It was like, but part of all my land, they discover oil on my land. Like,
Nothing to do with you.
like, but it's like but you're still a pastor, so it don't matter how you got. Cause
I'm just thinking because politicians have to be careful. Mm-hmm. You know, they have people that's like, well, if you want to appeal to this base, and you know you want to send this message, I'm gonna need you to go to Macy's instead of going to so and so. You know, but no, what I'm saying, I'm not saying like be shamed. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but when you're in that position,
Public position.
in a public position, should it always be in your face?
Oh no.
Like I'm you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like we live in a time now where pastors are celebrities.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, like I was saying about the whole showing the Bentley sign and then flipping it and talking. Yeah.
I think in your face, because I think you can live prosperous, but you don't have to showcase it.
Yeah.
That's one, but you know what I'm saying? So it's like I can be wearing whatever amount of money outfit and you don't necessarily know it unless you just dead petty or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Looking up my stuff or whatever. But it's some pastors, they be knowing how much they got going on.
Yeah.
And they be like, fit check, you know, this my Sunday outfit. You know, like
Remember that pastor? I can't think of his name, but is it called a deposition? When they call you in the court and they on the what's the name? That was the most like, bruh. I just would have fainted just so I wouldn't have to ask no more questions. They were asking them questions like, so did you have to have the Gucci belt? Did you have to have? And he would say stupid stuff like, well, yeah, that's what I would. That's the only thing that would fit me. Nigga, you wear same size that somebody else wear. Like, how can that person get a regular belt and you can't get a regular
my
belt?
skin is allergic to the
It
He was on that type stuff. And I was like, bro, this is so embarrassing. And the lady was just calling and stuff like, so you went here and you bought this. Did you have to go? Like one day you went to the Gucci store and you spent $16,000. The next day you go here and they had it itemized. And he was just like, yeah. And he was trying to sound deep. Like, nigga, you sound stupid.
Yeah.
Like right now, bro. But it was the most shameful thing I ever seen.
One of the things though is like, and when it comes to things, right? We always, people always say, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're getting on this jet or whatever. You drive this car. There are people, this $60 million can go to people. Mm-hmm. Well, who built the jet? People worked for this company to build the jet. So by me purchasing this jet, these people still have jobs. So how is it like we literally feel like stuff like this just like falls out the sky?
I mean, yeah, true. But my issue with that, no, I'm not disagreeing.
You can if you want. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
My issue is we jump to conclusion, but we don't know how much people giving. Like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah, we do got to mind our business.
We dig too much. Yeah. Like, oh, you bought that Gucci belt, you could have helped somebody eat. Mm-hmm. But I probably did. I probably fed a whole village. You don't know what I got going on. You know what I mean? Like, I could have secretly, just because you see the Gucci emblem, you see that, but you didn't see how many people I fed last week.
Yeah.
You kind of get what I mean? It's like sometimes you got to mind your business. You don't know how much is going out. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some out there who are doing nothing but feeding themselves and eating their seed. We got that. Yeah. But there are some who literally are out there planting, and we just don't know.
Well, are they getting this? I'm gonna always play devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
Are they getting these multiple streams of income because of the likeness connected to the ministry? Am I making sense?
Yeah.
I think so it can go both ways. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna just use name for example. TD Jakes.
Hold on, pause.
What's up?
What your hat say?
Well, you see what it say? What it say?
Ooh, child. Go ahead, honey.
You know what I'm saying?
Plug.
Anyway.
Turn it back straight.
Chill with a young soul.
Turn it back straight.
Go ahead.
But I think, and is it because you connect to the church? I'm not sure. Especially what I mean by this, like you look at the TD Jakes, but some people don't even know that TD Jakes is you know the name TD Jakes. You don't know the church he pastors. In some cases,
Brandon, I think everybody know he connected to the Potter's house.
But his name is bigger.
And woman, huh?
His name is bigger than the Potter's house.
That's true. Because some people just don't. I think some people don't. I really do.
I said in the meeting with Pastor Dollar.
Yeah. We get that all the time.
They don't know what he pastors.
Nope.
They know his name. And he's in the city. He literally had to put a billboard to say, "Get off this exit to get the World Changes." Mm-hmm. But I didn't even know. Oh, World Changes is the pastor
in 2022.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Well, I went there.
People still don't.
But they was in.
But no,
at least
still
don't. 19.
I actually got asked it at the gym. Somebody said, "What church do you go to?" I said, "World Changers." They were like, "Oh, where's that?" I was like, "Oh, it's in College Park." And I was like,
I had to get out of my Christian bubble right now.
They said, who's the pastor? I said, Creflo. Oh, I know Creflo. But they do not connect.
So, but I'm saying, is the church the catalyst for them to become who they are?
Could be.
I don't know.
But I think so. Would
TD Jakes be who TD Jakes is if it wasn't for Potter's House, if it wasn't for Woman Thou Art Loose and all of that? Would he be TD Jakes?
I think you would be TD Jakes, but to say it's all just because I'm at the Potter's House or all because of X, Y, and Z, I think that's kind of shortchanging the person.
Okay, so you take the Potter's House away from it. Does he still have the influence and notoriety?
Absolutely. And I know that
now?
be true.
No, I'm saying if there was never a Potter's House.
Because when I met a pastor who met him when he was younger. Mm-hmm. He was like, nah, he had that in him then. Like when he had that Juice of Jerry curl.
She's saying if you took the church away.
Took the church. No, I'm saying, would he still be advisor to politicians and all of do you think he would still be that?
I think that opens a door to it though.
So that's what I'm saying. Do you think because what it looked like to me is that the pastors get the ministry to a certain point, and then once they get to a certain level, then they branch off. And now I'm in a position where I can.
But wouldn't that be the parable of the talents, though?
Yeah.
From the standpoint of this could have been the catalyst in the beginning because they didn't have the mindset of doing the movies and doing this and doing that and doing that. They just had the mindset of pastoring.
Right.
And then when the church blew up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I got a little change. Okay, so now,
I don't need a salary anymore. Yeah. I can go do this.
I also always wanted to do these type of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like now I can do movies the way I really want to do movies. I can do the book.
Well, if people so nosy, why they don't be knowing these pastors ain't getting no income from the church?
They don't care.
They don't care.
They know.
No, people
they don't care.
No, because of your ties to a church.
It's an easy fight.
Yeah. I mean, back to your point, I still don't think that if you were tied to a church that he wouldn't be TD Jakes or all these things because you have the church, but a gift is a gift. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so whether he opened the church or not, yes, it played a huge role and it was a catalyst in allowing him to kind of become who he is. But let's just say he didn't. Mm-hmm. The gift that's in him, he might have been traveling the world evangelizing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. I think the gifts are still the gifts in you. And so he could have had Woman Thou Art Loose without the Potter's House. Mm-hmm. It's still TD Jakes because that ministry gift that's there is what drew people, not the church.
So what I'm saying is,
you know what I mean?
I don't know. You can jump in if you need to, but I'm saying I don't think that was. I'm saying TD. When they say, I can know Thomas Dexter,
right?
Or I can know TD Jakes. You get what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. Right.
You was Thomas Dexter, and you can still be Thomas Dexter in your what is it the front? What they call it the
storefront.
Mm-hmm. Storefront. Because even he said, he was like, man, it's people in these storefront churches that got way more anointed, preach better than I can in any given time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I believe Auntie is one of the baddest.
One of my favorite.
One of the baddest. Yeah. But ain't got that platform. You get what I'm saying? But every time I would see somebody on the other level, I'm like, bro, that ain't nothing but Auntie Ruth. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, but I'm saying all to say, you can be there. Yeah, you can call it Woman Without Loose. You ain't doing it at the Dome though. You know what I'm saying? You may be able to do it at North Lane High School, but you ain't gonna be able to do it.
The question is, how did he get to Potter's house? That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Is a lot of times we say, okay, if it wasn't for the Potter's house, he planted that church. How did he?
The
there?
growth.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He planted that joint.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, oh, I walked into a church and I grew. No. He planted that. So what I'm saying is, just like you have Woman Without Loose, he planted that. He planted the Potter's house. That gift is in him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for the Potter's house, I still believe Woman Without Loose would be Woman Without Loose because he planted the Potter's house.
At
like
that level.
At that level,
That's
I'm
what I'm
saying
saying.
the
I think
what she's
greatness
saying,
that
though-
Potter's house is. That's what I'm thinking.
But I think what she's saying is because his notoriety did not come from Potter's house. If I remember correctly, he preached at Azusa Street.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when he preached at
Yes.
Azusa Street,
He's
people
evangelist.
was like, "Who is this guy?"
Right.
And
It's
then
the
it
gift.
It was
It wasn't
Woman
the
Without
Potter's
Loose.
house.
Then it was the Potter's
Well,
house.
how he get to Susan? What down there with Carlton?
What I'm saying, even if it was the Potter's house, from my understanding, Potter's house was small pretty much. But you never know who's sitting in your church. It could be 10 people, but
Yeah.
that one person could call you to Azusa. You can't limit God.
Yeah.
I'm with
It
you.
ain't one thing. It's God.
Because at the end of the day, now you see that, he's got association with like Keon Henderson. You know what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden,
How did that happen?
everybody like,
How
oh,
did this
Keon
happen?
Henderson.
Yeah.
You know, and Keon Henderson probably been the same dude, but the fact that he didn't link, T.D. Jason heard about him, gave him platform, and then, you know what I'm saying? And then Keon can then turn around and people start joining his church because of that. So I do get that.
I think it's a little bit of both though. I like this dude named Darius Daniels. Darius Daniels is super dope to me. Now, but like you saying about Keon, he's at I'm connected with T.D. Jakes. I can explode and go. But I also watch the stuff that he does on his own. It's like, bro, your podcast was dope. That book was dope. Your the way you do this little Bible study that you do is dope. It's like, bro, just dope. Period. Going back to what you saying, like you just who you is. If nobody else knew who you was and I knew who you was only, bro, you dope.
Maybe it's the weight we put on just that position of pastor.
I think
It is.
It's just a
The dopeness is
position.
magnified. But yeah, it is. I think that's what it is.
Because you just don't know what arenas or what places you would be called to without a church. You know what I mean? Without being in the role of a pastor. Like you don't know who's going to come across your storefront or, and again, there go that faith shaming. It's not about a lack of faith or that your gift doesn't necessarily make room for you, quote unquote, but you just don't know where God is going to take you or who you're positioned to meet or why. It doesn't make sense. Our lives and journeys when it comes to God and our gifts and callings don't make sense. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's because of a physical thing that catapult us to another level, because what if no one ever heard of Potter's House? Like you said, there are powerful preachers in storefronts. Potter's House could have remained a storefront. You know what I mean? But the door opened somewhere. You look at Juanita Bynum. How did we find out about her? Because no more sheets and all of those wouldn't have been
Boy, I
found
had one nappy back
without what? Without what? Azusa Street too, with her wearing that white that white neck brace and that black suit. Juanita Bynum now, with the long hair and all of that. I remember Juanita Bynum with the black suit and the white
All the way
neck
down
brace.
to
like
the back
that
of
was
her
it.
heel.
Yes, and that short hair. But see, that's what I'm saying. But she didn't have a church.
Yeah.
But she still Juanita Bynum. You know what I mean? Like she could still come to woman. People were coming to Woman Without Loose because Bynum will have you laid out on the floor. You get what I'm saying? And so I don't think it's just a matter of just one thing catapulting you. Sometimes you just don't know how you collide with your destiny or how it works. Like you said, Darius Daniels. I think for me, he came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He just big. Like it is like, where you came from? You know what I mean? Like it happens, and you just gotta embrace your journey and not. My thing is not try to put on false humility for other people. I still think that's the difference. You got to believe, like, I got a word and I'm going to get up here and share this word. I don't care who in the audience. And I think that's what we got to stop doing, is watering ourselves down because we feel like we're not worthy to be in the presence of other people. No, I mean, your presence, but what matters most is I'm representing Jesus. And so the fact that Jesus is with me, then I feel like there's a seed that's going to come forth out of me for even you. The people who I look up to, the people who I feel like I can't measure up to, I'm the vessel. And I think that's the whole part of embracing your prosperity and not watering it down so we can, have our own, no more sheets and mega fests and and businesses and strip clubs and things like that. The strip club for Jesus.
Pop it for Jesus.
Pop it for Jesus. Wasn't that a song?
No.
One of them.
Twerking for Jesus.
Twerking for Jesus.
Twerking for Jesus.
That was not a real song.
Yes, it was. It went viral.
There's folks out here, man. They just out here doing the Lord's work, as they say.
Yep.
Yeah, what they say.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, folks, I guess we about to bring this thing to a close. Any last comments? Any last things you want to add on?
Be dope, man. Just be dope. Be who you is, man. No matter what it is, just be dope.
Yeah,
I'm dope.
We know you still got it.
Oh yeah.
What your hat say?
Oh yeah.
that's it. Go ahead and tell them about the podcast.
Oh man, so we got this sports podcast called I Still Got It with my partner Stephen Pope and Free Will, and we're dropping next week, I think.
Okay.
So we're dropping next week, man. So proud of it, happy
Praise
for
God.
it.
No.
And
We'll put the link out there for you.
yeah. Add another 7 figures to it.
It's out here getting all the bags, huh?
Hey, listen, I ain't shame, but I'm telling you now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be featured on the I Still Got It podcast.
Yep.
What you got coming on, Chris? What you got coming up, Chris?
Nothing.
Yeah, no speaking engagement.
Is that what he's talking about?
I'm serious. What you got
I
going on?
mean,
She was at Woman Dial Loose this week.
I know, right?
She tried to downplay, trying to be. There's that false humility she was just talking about. She was just preaching that Woman Dial Loose.
Yep. No.
All right, cool. Tell me what you got.
Not right now.
Now, right now, you good?
Yep.
Well, I guess that just brings it to me. I just do want to say something that people don't dim your light for nobody. Set your goals high. Be happy that you attain your goals. Be happy that you are successful because God has given you a skill set. God has given you something that you could possibly share with the world. But if you want to dim your light for somebody else, you'll never be able to share that with the world.
Yeah.
I say that to say in our IT group, we have to, me and some others, we continuously pour into people and say, think higher, think better.
Yeah.
And those of you that are on this podcast, you might feel like there's no way out of where you are. You might not be able to fathom 50,000 a year or much less 100,000 a year, but start somewhere. Dream big. Reach for your goals because God is giving you a pathway to be able to reach your goals, whatever it is. But you, out in that pathway to success, don't dim that light for nobody because you're only elongating that. All right? Mm-hmm. Why you keep looking like that? You look like you was about to say something.
Oh, no. Sorry.
You good? Okay. All right, folks. So that's a wrap. We will see y'all on another Unlearning Religion podcast, y'all. Peace out.
Alrighty.
All right.